My dead dad's home is being held hostage. The obstacle in your way from obtaining your real estate goals may be your realtor. That home prices were set to jump 30%. My dead dad's home is being held hostage by my sister, and it's been over a year. This real estate situation is something nobody warned you about, and it goes from family tragedy to financial and legal nightmare overnight. If you're in an inheritance situation, an estate situation, maybe you got a vacant home, this is going to be one you don't want to miss. Before I walk through how to prevent this and also what to do if you're in the situation, let me just break down the story a little bit more. The homeowner passed away and the daughter steps in as the executor, and she is the official approved executor of the estate. She is supposed to be the one responsible for handling the sale of the home, and she was letting her little sister stay in the property for a couple months while she sorted everything out. Well, a couple months turned into a year, and you think it stops there. Well, in the meantime, they find out that there's a $90,000 medical bill that is also to be paid as soon as the house sells. And so they really need to pay that bill with the state's proceeds. Well, that can't happen when the sister's in the house, obviously. The husband's wondering, because he's not necessarily on title, if he can step in and purchase the home, or if there's something, legally stopping him from doing that. That's where I step in. I just think that this is a mess of a situation and you want to clean your hands of it, to be honest. I think there are a couple things you can do. For one, everybody out there who owns a home, I'm going to get a ton of love from the attorneys out there. If you own a home, go get a will. It costs little to nothing. I mean, a couple $100 max to protect yourself against situations like this, especially if you have an older parent. You definitely want to be checking in with them and making sure that they have a will in place. The death in the family is tragic enough, but then to be infighting over finances or a house, it's just added pressure that doesn't need to be there. So do your kids a favor, do your heirs a favor, and go ahead and create a will today. Don't wait. Don't delay. That being said, in this situation, I think you have a couple choices. She won't move. She's not on title. You don't have a lease in place. Go ahead and call up an attorney to start the eviction process. Probably cost you around $1,000 to get her out of the house, but you got to do what you got to do. You got to get out from under the house and move on from this financial and real estate nightmare at the end of the day. The other thing that you could do is just incentivize her and let her know, hey, look, this lien is probably coming onto the house here at some point because they want their $90,000. And if they foreclose on the house, we're probably getting less, which means you're getting less in inheritance and we're getting less, all because you don't want to move. So I would find a way to compromise with her, not just compromise, but really incentivize her to get out of the home. What I really want to know is if you have ever heard of a real estate family blow up like this. If so, go ahead and comment below what the situation was. I'd love to hear about it. So next we have, my real estate agent is sabotaging me from purchasing my dream home. Let's break down the real situation that every single buyer needs to hear, which is, at the end of the day, the obstacle in your way from obtaining your real estate goals may not be the market, it may be your realtor. Okay, so a couple is shopping with an $800,000 budget in an area where prices have skyrocketed. It's finally becoming a buyer's market again, and they find a house they absolutely love. The home started at $939, but it's been sitting for a year, dropped to $899, and has been vacant since November. The seller's already moved across the country, major signs of motivation. But here's where things get messy. Their agent refuses to show it. She says touring it is a waste of time unless the buyers were ready to go up to $850, even though the buyers think they could get it at $800. Meanwhile, other homes in the area have dropped $100,000 to $200,000 in price. They even toured a home that was listed at $750 and they wanted to come in at $700. Their realtor said that that wasn't possible, that they're never going to accept it, so they didn't submit an offer. To find out, after that property closed, it sold for $680. Now they're wondering, are they wrong for being annoyed, or is our agent blocking us from our opportunities? The agent's representing you. not the other way around. It's definitely within the realtor's right to advise you on what they think is worth going to and not going to. But without any evidence, without talking to the other realtor in the first place to say, hey, these are kind of our budget restraints. We don't know if this would even be something you'd entertain. It's really not up for her to say, uh, what the seller would and wouldn't do, especially if she doesn't have the seller as well. We don't set the price in the market. The market sets the price for the home. And so, especially in a situation where a home is sitting for a long time, you never know what they will accept or what they won't accept. If you find yourself in a situation where you feel like you're not being represented as a buyer, you should definitely consider asking for a mutual release. At the end of the day, you need to make sure that the person representing you is going to do the absolute best job for you. And that does look different to different people based on budget, timelines, and the marketplace specifically. Have you ever felt like an agent was holding you back? Drop your story below. I guarantee you're not the only one. Okay, the professor said that home prices were set to jump 30%. And that reason is going to blow your mind. How does housing affordability now shape what you should do in the future? Well, if you're considering purchasing a home in your area, then this is definitely one you don't want to miss. So, affordability is at the top of everybody's mind, and this 50-year mortgage has become a big topic of discussion. I've covered it once before, but I'd like to give you another approach because at the end of the day, I only gave you one side of it. And to be fair, I think that you deserve another side. On this. So in this scenario, we've got a younger guy who's sitting in class and his professors telling the students that if longer term mortgages become a thing, like the 50-year loans go mainstream, then home prices could actually go up, not down. He says at first those extra long loans make monthly payments feel like they're affordable, but as soon as buyers can stretch further, the competition ramps up and the sellers raise the prices to match whatever the market can now afford. So the professor points out that more affordability doesn't mean cheaper homes, it just means buyers can push their budgets further, which drives prices even higher. The student then asks, is a 30% price jump in 5 years even possible? Good question. And really, that's where the debate begins because this idea isn't too far fetched. Yeah, there may be some price hikes. But I just don't see that these 50-year mortgages are actually going to work. I mean, you think about it this way you are paying you're still paying down equity over time, but it's significantly less equity than what you would have at a 30-year mortgage, and the banks probably aren't going to like that. You should consider this also. Since after the Great Recession, when we had our housing crisis, 40-year mortgages have always been possible. That's been signed into law. So we don't really hear about banks using those 40-year mortgages. The only time I ever have is for relief from payments from people who are under some sort of financial stress. That is the only time I've ever heard of somebody using a 40-year mortgage. We just don't see them. So just because we sign it into law and say that, yeah, we can use 50-year mortgages now, that does not mean that the banks are going to approve the use of those if they don't see it as being beneficial to their downside risk as well. So, will the 50-year mortgage become a thing? Maybe. Do I see it playing a big role in the marketplace? Probably not. Maybe for builders, maybe builders would take advantage of the opportunity to sell some more homes. But at the end of the day, I just don't see it being that big a deal. So, what do you think longer term mortgages is going to do? Make things worse, better, or everything's just going to stay the same? Comment below.